Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we are getting back to business with part 2 of a special feature presentation with Jay Abraham right here on NBC's KCAA Radio. And if you need to see the first part of this interview or hear it, you can go to the archives at kcaaradio.com and find the first featured presentation. So I am going to share a little bit more about Jay, and then he will be on the show to get started with part 2 of the interview.
Marketing legend, mentor to mentors, and the highest paid marketing consultant in the world.
He's the go-to guy now. And I gotta say, if you think of most of the marketing consultants that you probably don't know the name of, they've all been influenced by Jay.
I probably wouldn't be here without my mentor, Jay Abraham. Through, his teachings and what he's done for me, he's taught me how to position myself in very unique positions, what is my unique offering, as well as the ability to communicate.
Jay Abraham has significantly increased the bottom line of over 10,000 clients and over 400 industries worldwide.
Jay has had a tremendous influence on my business. Not just my business, but really the deep ways in which I think about my students, my readers, my clients, my customers.
His books have profoundly influenced my ability to grow Bulletproof, and his personal mentorship and his one-on-one sessions with me have absolutely changed the game for me and for Bulletproof and for our mission to change the world.
Forbes magazine called him the real thing and lists Jay as one of the top 5 executive coaches in the country. He's also a best-selling author and has been featured in USA Today, the New York Times, Inc., and Success, among many others.
Life is a series of mentors, and Jay Abraham is absolutely the best in that area.
Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you, Sheila. Good seeing you again, or hearing you, depending on what form people are experiencing this. But yeah, it's a pleasure.
There's such a connection between industries. I'm doing media with radio, and I also am now working with a magazine company, the local magazines that you see with the families on the cover in your community. And so those are two things that are not connected, but they're really connected. And many of the people end up on the show or sharing about their business through a sponsorship opportunity that way, as well as in print media. What do you think about print media and advertising? What would you suggest? How would you diversify or stand out in today's very interesting economy and time?
Well, I think people who read print are probably very responsive people. Not as many, but probably a sort of core. We're experimenting right now with Inc. magazine, Forbes magazine, the business section of the Sunday New York Times, and a couple of others. And what we try to do is, for the first, pardon my voice, for the first test stage, we try to negotiate a very advantageous price. We also want to do something that, if we get a good enough price, is very stunning. For example, I'm getting ready to run 4 pages in Inc. magazine, not one, but 4 together. I'm getting ready to run a 2-page ad in Wall Street Journal. And they're all designed to literally gain maximum attention and engagement from the audience we want to reach. We know that there's a lesser audience but we believe the audience that reads is the audience that we can impact the most, because I tend to like long, well-developed propositions. But it depends. One of the things I learned in my life was testing, testing, testing. It's a very wonderful way, because you can try, as long as you control the risk that you're taking, you can try a lot of hypotheses, suppositions, and experiments. And if you lose on many, when you find the winners, it makes up for them all. And it's just, you have to, before you do it, you have to understand the dynamics. In other words, if you're going to use a magazine or a newspaper, you better, first of all, understand keenly the audience. You better analyze what has been advertised frequently enough that is more direct responsive, so you can see advertisers that have to justify the investment. If they're not competitive, you should call them and verify your assumptions that they are making money from those ads, because a lot of times people don't know. And then what they charge as far as their rate is frequently far above what the incremental cost is. We try to always get, what we tell people is this: we want a great first rate because we're trying something that may not work. But we agree to report completely results, and we give them a mean that we're happy with, or just a what would I call it? A minimum base. If we hit that, we say we'll run it every week, every month, as long as it keeps doing that at full rate. And we give them incentive for making it advantageous. We say we'll run something very dramatic and impressive, and you could have editorial approval. It won't be anything that's schlocky. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to lose, but I'm going to lose less than what your published rate is. Right. If it wins, you're going to win as well as me, because I'll keep running, and as long as the numbers justify, I'll be happy to pay more.
Yes, exactly. And the company I work with now, in that magazine that's nationwide, actually, and in Canada, they actually have people that started when the business started, I think 17 years ago, that are still advertising with them, because obviously it pays. Yeah, and so that's for that target audience, and it's for small businesses. So it really works.
Yeah, and you have to have alignment. I mean, your message has to be in alignment with the market and the media. But I mean, the thing is, if you don't market, then you better have an enormous referral or word of mouth, or you better be in a location where there's enormously high volume or high quality traffic of the profile that you need as buyers. And if you don't have that, you better find them. They're not going to, I mean, the world won't beat a path to you unless you've got a reason why they need to do it. Either your location is fabulous, your product service is unique, and everyone talks about it, you got tons of referrals, or you're a very good external marketer.
Yes, that's
or
very
you have
true.
a salesperson selling it for you in the outside market, but it's not just going to happen.
No, it's good to have a team helping on the sales part, really to expand. Now, for branding, there's marketing and there's branding. So for branding, for really getting your name out there, it takes so many times for somebody to see the name, to get the message before they actually connect with a new business, let's just say. What is the secret or difference between marketing and branding, and what approach would you suggest for this time in our...
Well, there's a shortcut to making your brand prominent, and that is to partner with other people that have the buyer audience you want, giving them a chance to endorse you in a way that makes you credible, and that endorser is in essence affixing their credibility, their trust to your company and whatever brand position you take, and giving that endorser a generous enough correlated compensation, meaning compensation that you can tie to whatever they do and whatever comes from it for a period of time so that they're motivated. But if you get 3 or 4 other entities, enterprises, companies, influencers who have the trust of the market you're trying to reach to endorse you to their market, that can create rapid, if not almost overnight, brand significance.
Wow, that's a good secret. So for somebody starting out, they might not be able to go to the biggest brand, but even just to go.
You go to somebody that has an audience that is the audience you want, and you start small. But if tomorrow morning, ice cream store, and it was really unique, maybe I could go to people that sold non-ice cream food products and get them to tell their people that when they're done eating the main course, consider going there. Give them coupons to give away. Give them anything and figure a way to pay them very, very, very generously in the beginning, because once they used their access to their market to build my brand currency, meaning the quality of my brand to people and the awareness and the desirability, I'm going to make all the repeat sales. I'm going to make all the preferred sales. I'm going to make all the word of mouth sales. So who cares if you pay a lot in the beginning? If you can pay for results instead of advertising, you're always going to be better off, because you'll never pay a penny out until you get a result in first.
That makes so much sense. I can go back to when I opened my first gift store in Montrose, California. It was 5,000 square feet, and I wanted the building next to all the restaurants. Okay. All the other stores closed at 5 p.m. I stayed open until 11 when the restaurants closed, and I had music and free tea and little cookies to give out, and people would come in and they'd meander around and they'd buy a bunch of stuff and they'd leave. And it took a couple years for the other stores to catch on and actually start staying open late. So that it paid for me to buy a building instead of continuing to rent.
That's very smart. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was fun. And so that's an example. It didn't cost me anything different. The rent was the same 3 blocks down away from the restaurants.
I love it.
So there's so many different ways to do that. Now,
let's take, for example, my suggestion of window cleaning for a strip shopping center. Okay. So if you're in a teeny tiny city, it's not going to make sense. But if you're in any kind of a decent city, and you could go to, let's say in that city, there's 100 strip shopping centers, right?
Right.
If you went to every one and you only got 3 to say yes, now you'd have three agreements that you could exercise. You don't have to. 3 agreements you could exercise where you were trading, let's say, rent for 3 years for window cleaning for 3 years. Now you might say, well, I only have one facility. Well, you have choices. Choice 1 is you open more, because it would cost you a lot less than you would normally, because you don't need the capital outlay, right? And you might be able to get your vendors to provide inventory. If you say, I'll secure a 3-year rent if you provide me with startup inventory on a return privilege, meaning if it doesn't sell, I can send it back. Or you could flip that space to someone else for under market and get cash, right? Or you could use that space and give it to somebody who's got a very successful single location. And if they opened another one, you could split profits by waiving any rent to them, because you have now the use of this space, right? So you have a lot of options. And the last option is, if it doesn't make economic sense, you don't go forward.
And then there's that thing about sometimes you get a no and it's really a maybe or not right now.
That's right. Yeah. Well, the first thing that I always do when people turn me down is go, if I want the deal, I'll say, I hear what you're saying, but I sense I haven't conveyed enough of the value and the benefit to you. So what I'm going to do is either come back to you with a renewed approach, or I'm going to stay in touch, because I suspect as you think about it over time, you will reconsider. And if you don't, I suspect you have in your realm of contacts other people who might be benefited from this. And I always program them. To me, I look at it like a positive Chinese water torture. It's only a matter of time before the people you want to deal with will deal with you. And tenacity is an attribute if you use it strategically. Most people use it in a tormenting way. In other words, if I just keep writing you and writing you and writing you, you're going to go, oh, that's an irritant. But if every time I communicate with you, I introduce perspective that is actually has merit, causes provocative thinking in you, identifies implications that make my past proposition that you, let's say, tentatively rejected, because I don't think a no is absolutely a no. I think it's only an interim refusal, if that makes sense. And by keeping going back in a more inventive way, you will win a surprising number of previous rejections and turn them around. And even if you don't, you will be able to develop your ability to present your proposition from a multitude of different points of view or implications, which will help refine your ability to synthesize all those approaches into the best presentation or pitch you can use in the future.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds great and so true.
And well, there's another approach. If you were going to do anything in life, if you were going to go for a new career, you would have to invest a lot of time, effort, and money, wouldn't you? So if you say that the potential rejections I need to experience to perfect and refine and evolve my presentation skills is a far cry less than the investment of time, effort, or money I would have to invest in anything else I would do that would be designed to make me money.
That's really good.
It is
very powerful.
It's a new way of looking at it, isn't it? So, I mean, and people that are very, very analytical about rejection, that really get the mechanism and get relatively good at presenting, they don't look at rejection as defeat. They look at it every time I get 8 rejections, I get 1 sale. So they don't look at, so if a sale is worth X, let's say I'm selling something that has, let's use a very easy, that had, let's say, 1 out of 10 buy, okay? And I get rejected from 9. Statistical probability, it may not happen, but the 10th one buys and it's a $10,000 profit. Everyone who says no is actually worth, if you look at it, $1,000 to me.
Yes.
So different ways of looking at it to mitigate the negativity in it. But I mean, I always say if you met that person again, they probably wouldn't even know you if you did it on the phone. If you did it in person, if you did it with panache and aplomb, meaning you did it qualitatively and charismatically and authoritatively, even if they turn you down, you might be actually creating a positive enough relationship that you could go right back to that same person in a matter of days or weeks with a totally different proposition that if you articulated it well, they might buy into.
That is so helpful.
Next move. If you think about life, think about business life like real billiards, not pocket billiards, but the ones that have no pockets, where every move you make is designed to set up the next move and the next.
I'm wondering, you also raised a big family. how did you, for people with a big family or families right now, and especially with COVID, they've had to coordinate business and family life even more than ever, working from home. What advice do you have for people that are dealing with this new family and work situation?
Well, I think the first is try to appreciate each other's reality because it's hard on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And try to support each person's reality. I spent, and I haven't gotten motivated to go back to my office very much now, but I spent the year here in the wine cellar, which is very nice. But my wife used to have autonomy and control of the house, and now I'm here and I'm getting on her nerves and I'm making a mess and I'm using all the rooms. So I try to be sensitive because we spend more time together. I try to appreciate things that she's interested in that maybe I haven't been and support those. Watch shows she wants to watch. She likes a lot of old English kings and things like that. And I never did, but I watched them with her. She likes to discuss world events, and I really wasn't that big into it, but I do it because I think it's important to her. And I want to be, I don't think my mind alone is all that's important. And I think the more you try to appreciate that everyone is having an awkward time, and that you try to be focused on others and celebrate it and contribute and not be, oh, I'm not going to be that. Do the opposite. Try to be very, very collaborative with them. I think that's better. Try to, spend time, quality time, listening, talking, being interested. Use it as time to regenerate the relationship, whether it's to your loved one, to your children, develop hobbies, if you will. One of the things I think that happens, and some people don't have the luxury I do. I have a very large home and I have a very nice backyard, a lot of foliage. So I sometimes find myself appreciating the trees and the growth that I've had for 30 years but never paid attention to.
Yes.
And I think that if you really start appreciating your environment and the people in it instead of resenting it, it makes it a lot easier, don't you think?
It's kind of the energy that you bring to, whether you're at home or in the office, there's an energy that shows up with you, and it affects everyone around. So you think of when you have a negative kind of energy person come in, it's like everybody in the office is like, whoa, it's so-and-so, oh no. And so that energy really makes a difference. And I honestly, when I had those gift stores, I would tell the people that worked with me, if you don't want to be here today, do not come in, because the clients will feel the energy and they will not buy.
Yeah,
and it was true. Yes, that made all the difference. It wasn't worth me paying them, to be honest, when they were there.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. I love that. Yeah, sure. No, it's you're asking good questions. I like this.
Yes, and I have another question that came in from a Facebook. They don't have a name here. It says Facebook user, so I think they're just not connected with me directly. It says, I've got a few online courses which should be perfect for solving current challenges. However, sales needs a boost. Any suggestions or tips on making the marketing clearer or more enticing for online courses? And there's so many going on right now. So
yeah, I mean, I think you have to see what is the buyer you're trying to reach, what is the issue you're trying to either solve or the opportunity you're trying to make possible, and what are they getting and not getting from others. Look up all the people who are selling anything similar and look up the reviews people give them, the good and the bad, and look at the language patterns, because that will help you in your marketing. It'll help you articulate what you are and what you're not, and what they want and what they are frustrated they haven't gotten. And if you can find other companies selling other kinds of courses that are not competitive to you, maybe you can partner with them and have them either sell your courses separately or make a deal with them where they pay you a usage fee to make your course a bonus. Or if the course isn't that expensive, maybe make it a lead generator for people that have something much more expensive, and find other ways to monetize it.
Nice. That's great. So so there's a lot of different coaches and authors out there that I'm connected to, what would you suggest for them overall as far as getting their message out when we weren't able to have book tours? We're not able to do certain things, or we have to do things only online and differently. Do you have any suggestions for that group?
Yeah, I think that you just have to find people that already have your audience and collaborate with them. It's a very safe way. And you have to make, the only way they'll collaborate is if you make it very well worth their while. And if you're chintzy, you shouldn't be surprised if they won't do it. You have to look at, most people go, oh, I'll give you 10% of sales when they're making on a course, for example, 99%. And I would say, why would anyone want to do that? Why don't you look at it from a different paradigm? If you get somebody to help you sell 20 programs to their audience that you never would have had, that's 20 times whatever your program sells for, 500, 1,000, that you'd never have had. So sharing half of that costs you nothing. It makes you $5,000. Sharing 60% costs you nothing. It makes you $4,000. Sharing 70% costs you nothing. It makes you $3,000, doesn't it?
Yes. And then people are aware of your products, your book, your courses, and they can connect with you further from there. But if you don't get your foot in the door, you're kind of stuck. You get nothing.
And you get buyers you can resell other things to down the road. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have a very linear and unilateral sort of a mindset where they don't really understand what the dynamics in play are. And so they don't get a good outcome because they don't approach it from the right mindset.
Yes. Now, you have some programs that you were sharing recently. I attended one of them. So that was online. Can you share about some of those things that you are doing now to help people with their businesses?
Well, I mean, I have different initiatives. There's a partner of mine that makes very affordable things. We've done challenges. We have a program that's called Small Moves, Big Profits. They're easy, safe things you do a little differently, and they produce all kinds of increased revenue and profit for you. We have programs on we have 100 ways to generate referrals. We have another program. It's 100 ways to do joint ventures. We have an expensive program on how to grow your business profits beyond exponential. We have programs on our website that are everything from creating your own business success and giving you ways to start a business to how to build a power practice. I have lots of different programs, but we do a lot of modest ones for people who are on limited budgets and need somebody they can trust. And then we have subscription programs that are modest. Then I work with clients privately, and I'm not inexpensive. I'm relatively costly. So most people probably wouldn't be, unless, if they're significant, I'd love, to tell them about my services, but they're very expensive and not really affordable to a lot of people.
Yes. So one of the things that I've seen over the years, because I've been watching your programs and actually attending many events, masterminds, Tony Robbins Platinum event that you were at, and your breakthrough. And I've seen people that have started with maybe the lowest price, and then they apply. When they do the application, the next thing you know, they're in the bigger rooms because your advice actually gives results. And so that's the difference. It is more than wonderful to be able to start wherever you are and not overspend, but apply. What suggestions do you have as far as people going from attending things, whatever it is, because there's so many things to attend right now, at your programs, everybody else's, attending them, but actually doing the application?
The big challenge to people is implementation and execution, and they get intimidated. They get intimidated by complexity. They get intimidated by self-doubt. They get intimidated by even the thought of being more successful, even though that seems contrary to why they do it. But I think I always say divide and conquer. You start with the easiest thing you can do that could win, not the biggest. So you get validation that the concept you got from whoever you learned it from is viable and that you're worthy. And then you keep taking that success and parlaying it. It took you until today to get to where you are. So thinking you're going to make $1 trillion in your underwear overnight watching Oprah, with one eye is probably a little bit delusional.
Right.
And say that, okay, I just want to get started. If I only make $100 on this one, if I only make $500 on this one, but I'm going to keep doing it until I get it systematic, continuous, sequential, and then you do that. And when you start doing that, wonderful things happen. But there's a great quote, Sheila. More is accomplished through movement than will ever be accomplished through meditation.
Yes. That makes all the difference. That is so true. And I think there's something in, sometimes we do things and it doesn't work out, and there's even more value in that lesson or learning.
If you think about it, there was a famous athlete I used to help. Most people won't know him, so it doesn't matter. But he failed publicly in Super Bowls and in critical games, and he turned out to be massively successful post-career in business. And he wrote a book that failure isn't permanent, just a temporary thing. Tony said it, Tony Robbins, you can change your life in a heartbeat. You can change the direction. But trying things, if it doesn't work, the biggest problem most people have when they blindly go into something is they don't step back and say, why didn't it work? If it's a concept that has been proven, did I execute, articulate, direct it? If it's one that's not proven, is there a safer, easier, better way? If I get horrific rejection, it's not horribly negative. It just tells you to go in a different direction, doesn't it? When I was young, there was a very popular toy that people got at holiday time, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever your religious celebration. And it was manifest many ways. It was a robot. I would get from my parents a big ladybug that was that big, but it had in the base of it a interesting mechanism where when it walked into a wall, it would turn 25 degrees, it would turn a quarter the other way. And you could point it, if this is radio, you don't see me, I'm pointing behind myself, and giving enough turns, it would end up going out a door to my right over time. Well, if you look at everything you do that doesn't work as a directive to go a different route, then it's all going to get you to a bigger outcome as long as you stay in the game.
That's like that Tony saying makes all the difference. So that when you think that you are at the bottom and you can't do anything else, the rock bottom, like my book talks about, it's actually when you're really close and you just got to keep going. And it's really hard because I think this year everybody's had some kind of surprise rock bottom that we never expected. We couldn't even fathom the crazy things that are going on. So that makes a big difference. I have somebody else that wrote in right now, and they say, thank you for the tip about the profit share, and the 40-50% was also great. I'll apply that to a few of the popular programs and the online. Okay. Oh, I know who that is. An online photo reading and fearless public speaking. I know that's a friend from London. So, yes, and she's been to some of your events too. So yes, that's great. Okay. So that makes a big difference. And I think now we're connecting globally. I know you're international. Do you have any suggestions for that change where because we're online, we're able to connect with people from London? I have London and Australia on right now, all these different countries.
Whatever you are selling, I mean, you have the chance, as long as it's legal, to deliver it either in a service form or in a physical form anywhere in the world. You can sell anywhere in the world. It's really great because in the past, in order to sell internationally or nationally outside of a locale, you needed facilities, you needed rent and people. Now, because of e-commerce and virtual communication and webinars and Zoom and Facebook Live and Instagram and all these things, you can sell anywhere you want in the world that people can buy. And as long as you can economically and legally get the product or service into their hands, literally or figuratively, the world is your oyster, and you can compete now. I mean, you can compete with the largest corporations. You can compete with companies 100 times your size. So it's a matter of your ingenuity, your marketing capability, and your belief, and that you have the ability to identify an audience and target them. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of traveling, as much as I love to hug people and see people in person, obviously we all do, but the cost to travel to another country and maybe like go to Dubai or something, it's what, 20 some odd hours, and you're flying and you're exhausted, and then you've got to do the event and you've got to pay for the hotel.
It's very efficient. This is terrible. I need 2 minutes to sell somebody something. Can you?
We can keep going, and go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, and I do have to stop in a short period, but I can go for a little longer. But I just have to do something. Be right back.
Okay. All right. So Jay will be right back. And if you have any more questions that you would like me to ask, just message in or send them into www.dearsheila.com. And I have someone looking at and reviewing questions there. So always happy to ask your questions. And Jay makes so many incredibly good points about business. And I think that there's something that happens when we let go of that fear of rejection, when we start connecting, even in our community, even in small ways, we're able to have friendships with other business owners and then collaborate and all enjoy helping serve clients in a better way. So that's something that I've been applying since I heard Jay speak, and he can just give you so many ideas. You've got to take notes every time you listen to Jay talking about that. But I want to just share a little memory. I attended his Breakthrough Mastermind program. It was, when you read about the mastermind that Napoleon Hill actually talks about in the Think and Grow Rich book, it was kind of that same experience. There were so many people, businesses sharing ideas and collaborating, and we're all still friends today from that one weekend program. And that made such a difference in my business and career and thought process, as well as just being able to connect and collaborate and hear different ideas that had nothing to do with what I was doing for business, but gave me ideas to apply to what I was doing. And that really, really made a big difference for me personally. So that was incredible, and something that hopefully you'll all be able to experience at some point in one way or another. So I was just bragging about your incredible breakthrough event and the experience that I had. And so I have a couple, and I asked for some more questions. So I have Alan here, Alan Burke, and he says, I read Jay's Mediocrity to Millions PDF, and I would like to ask him, I would like to travel the world and work with clients globally. How do I accept payment online or digital wire transfer? That's online invoice. What is the best way? Because he's working with audiences, people from around the globe now.
People can wire. We get wires we get it from, I have money wired from Taiwan, Japan. Somebody just wired me money from France. So, I mean, you get it from everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a problem. And I'm not good in things like PayPal or what's it called? Vend something. But
Venmo.
yeah, there's all kinds of ways to do it. I'm not a good authority on it, but as long as you're dealing with honorable people who have the ability ethically, I mean, we've been paid from people in China too, but it normally comes from another country. So that's a little probably trickier, and I don't understand it. But I think in most cases, if it's a country that allows a currency transfer, that's not hard to do. Banks are wiring money all over. We wire money all over. So I think that your person just doesn't understand it. It's just a matter. Almost everybody is used to doing business that way. And you probably can take credit cards too, depending on what you're doing and what you're charging. We sometimes, I mean, Sheila, you know this, we've had people put $200,000 on their American Express card.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to get clearance for it. But once that person authorizes it and you tell your bank it's real and they verify it, you take a big hit on it as far as the discount. But there's tons of ways I mean, getting paid is not the key. It's creating the value that people want to pay for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And some of those credit card programs, they have so many rewards that then when travel opens up again, you'll be able to go quite a few places for free or at a really big discount. So that kind of makes it work out as long as you don't get over indebted.
Everyone likes the points. Sadly, most of the points aren't worth what you think. I mean, we had, I've had $1 million of a million American Express points and thought I could spend like a drunken sailor. It didn't buy that much, but it's still nice to get, I guess. What else can I answer for you while we're still together?
Yes, I would love for you to share about like the challenge you just did and that program, how people could maybe get involved with those kind of entry level more programs to get started with you and how that looks.
Well, you could do a couple things. With the challenges, if you're a smaller company or business or you're not a company, go to, I can't remember which one it is. It's either Abraham University or jabraham.com. Get on the email list, and we do challenges. I think we got, and you probably see it if you follow me, but you can go on and you get on the email list. We do static programs. We do, I think it's $200 a month if you wanted to be in a membership program. It's sometimes, $55 for the challenges, so it's not very much, and they're really valuable. We've done Preeminence challenges, referral, masterful challenges. We've done, I got so many I can't remember. We've got a program on the mind of the marketplace for understanding how to really telegraph your message and your marketing. We've got a program, little ones, how to outthink the competition. We got all kinds of them. So it's, you can go also just go to Abraham University or jabraham.com. There's another one, abraham.com, but it's not going to have, I don't think it's going to have more expensive things on it. Mm-hmm. But others, I'm sure they probably have announcements for that. I don't run that part, so I don't pay attention. But I know we have challenges coming up. We have a Preeminence challenge, a greatness challenge. It's all one. We have, I think, another referral challenge coming. We have something called sharing some of these interventions I did with quantum business growth or something. I can't remember.
Yes. I think that's what it is. I do remember seeing that.
So we got so much stuff. I don't even pay attention. I have so many things always going on, but they're very, very modest in price, and I try to give a lot more than expected. And with full disclosure, we still try to sell more things at the end, but you're not obligated to buy them. Mm-hmm. And most of them are designed that at the end, win, lose, or draw on our part, you'll know how to capitalize on that content and that topic. So they're really cool.
Yes, and could you share a little bit about this concept of preeminence and how a new business could actually establish some preeminence in their business and community?
Sure. The concept is very foundational. You want your business, no matter what you sell, who you sell to, the size, scope, to be seen in the eyes of the target audience you're going after as the most trusted advisor in the category that you represent for life. You want to be seen as the only viable source they should turn to for whatever product, service, or problem or opportunity your product provides or serves or satisfies or solves. And there's a lot of elements, but the first thing is you want to basically be seen in the eyes of the market as the one person that understands them deeper than anyone else. And you want to put into words in very clear communication that you understand what they're feeling, what they're aspiring towards, what they're trying to get away from, closer to. You want to basically give them a very unique and distinctive point of view that everybody else isn't, so that you're not a commodity. You want to never allow them to buy less than they should, in less quantity, quality, or consistency than they should, or more than they should, or maybe they shouldn't even buy from you if it's not appropriate. You have to have their best interest always at heart. You have a moral obligation, if you believe your product service is indeed the best choice and going to serve them and protect them or enrich them, to do everything in your power to get them to avail themselves of it. You have, if you really get into preeminence, you shift your focus. Many people in business fall in love with either their company, their product, their profession or industry. But when you're preeminent, you fall in love with the clients that you serve, and you refer to them as clients, not customers. Look at a Webster's dictionary definition of customers. It means someone who buys a commodity or a service. So if you call me a customer, you're telling me you're nothing more than a commodity. A client is somebody under the care, the protection, the well-being of another. So it has a much more higher reverence, and that's pretty much it.
Yes, and for those that are listening in who haven't attended one of your events or a mastermind or group event, one of the things that you use a lot is the Socratic Method. Could you explain how you use that with the people that you work with when you're helping them?
Well, I mean, there's a quote, first of all, by Socrates. He said, "A life unexamined is a life not worth living." So my premise is a derivative. A business that's not constantly examined from as many impact points as possible is one that's not worth owning. So when I start out with a client or a program attendee like the one you went to, we start asking a myriad of questions. And I have, I guess I should be grateful, an expansive enough background in diverse business that I can relatively frequently, not always, but mostly understand and extrapolate what's going on in there. So I ask lots of logical questions that just keep progressing down the path of what's happening. Where do they get their business? How do they get it? Why do they get it? What do they do? How does it perform? I want to know everything. And as I'm asking these questions, I will challenge them very respectfully and question them in terms of whether an answer makes no sense, or there's a gap, or there seems like there's an implication they're not seeing. And when you do it right, you help them discover answers. You help them discover opportunities. You help them discover issues, challenges they don't even know or they're not aware of. And it's a very powerful process. And we somewhere have a document on it. I could probably give it to you, and you could post it on your own site. It's fundamentals of Socratic interviewing. But people who are very powerful know how to ask great questions. They know how to acknowledge that they heard them, and they know how to springboard from the answers to the next and the next related questions that not only engage but expand and expose understanding, not negative exposure, but open a window into the real heart of whatever the issue is. It's a very powerful process, and anybody who learns it, you'll probably be awkward the first time, but it's very powerful. It becomes very natural, and it engages people in ways most people can't imagine.
Yes. And even if you're listening in and you're a parent or a teacher, to be able to apply this in anything, in business or with your children, even, it changes the way they think and expands on everything they're learning. So for those listening in, there's so many different ways to apply the Socratic method, marketing, business, these business concepts that you've shared today in many different areas of our business and personal life. So I'm wondering, Jay, if you were to go back in time, what would you tell your younger self now that you are where you're at today?
You'll laugh about this, but you get this. I'd say use more of your income to buy assets, preferably real estate. I probably would have bought a lot of single family homes that I rented in very stable middle class communities.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't invest in many. I'm not the greatest investor. I wish I was, but as you get older, you like passive income more. And the few pieces of real estate that I do own have gone up. One has gone up, over 5 times. One has gone up, let's see, 3.5 times. Another one has gone up, probably, I don't own it anymore, but if I had kept it, it probably went up, 10 times. So I didn't buy real estate. I wish every year I had bought, homes. I'm not as much a commercial oriented person. I mean, you might be, but I like stable rental property, not the most expensive and definitely not the worst, but something that's very stable, that'll always be there, that it will always be desirable and a great environment for families, but also that will appreciate, and you let other people buy it for you. It's pretty nice. I had one of my clients, and I never listened to him. He would have people who would own 200 pieces of rental property after they were over a 20 or 30-year period. And, not only would they retire, but, they would have this incredible cash flow. If they ever needed cash, they could sell 2 or 3 of them. They had great tax advantages. They had all kinds of wonderful things they could do. They could do exchanges, all kinds of fun things with it. And I would have probably wished I did more of that. And I think I would have enjoyed, I'm not a good stock investor, but I think I would have been a good person in things like private equity. I never did that. So but I mean, the regrets are reflections, and regrets are two different things. I think that whatever your life was and is, it is. If you don't like something about the past, you can only try to be better every day, because you can't change. I can't do one thing to change 1 second ago, but I can do everything to change 1 second forward.
Right.
So you have to, you focus on what you can affect, not what you can't. So there's my answer. In the final analysis, because I do have to leave in about 2 minutes, is there anything else that I could answer for you?
But is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience listening in?
Only that entrepreneurship is a wonderful and very satisfying way to live your life. And anybody can be a full or part-time entrepreneur. It isn't as risky as people think, and it isn't as costly as people think. And I think it's really great if you have children and grandchildren to give them an entrepreneurial exposure. I think if you can find products or services that make a difference in people's lives, and the difference can be serious difference, it can be entertainment, it can be enrichment, it can be opportunity, it can be resolution of things. But if you're fulfilling and filling needs, it's a very satisfying thing to do.
Yes, that'll be wonderful. Well, we thank you. I have so many guests here. I have people from around the globe, actually Australia, South Africa. I have London. I have some people from the Yes Group in London, a large group listening in, and they're going to share even more. So it was incredible, and I really appreciate having you as a guest on the show, Jay. Thank you so much.
It's really good talking. Thank you. I have to
Thank
go.
you.
So I appreciate it.
This is the Sheila Mac Show here on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And Jay had mentioned a special gift for you. So it is the Critical Thinking and Socratic Interviewing Method. Go to jayabraham.com/50 Shades of Jay, and it is number 39, Critical Thinking and Socratic Interviewing. Enjoy. This is Sheila Mac. Thank you again for tuning in, and I have some homework for you. So go and get your copy of the new Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, and all major bookstores. And get ready to tune in daily as I share the Business Leader Reboot. So that is starting a business, side business, or extra income. I don't care if you're starting from zero, rebooting, starting over completely. We are going to go through the steps over this year slowly together to rebuild, reboot, and reinvent your business and personal life, or your career and personal life on your terms. And I will also be sharing about investing in properties and how to get some passive income going this year as well. So stay tuned. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you. To be honest, I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mac Show on YouTube. And there you can see past recordings, and you can also see other information and shares that I have. And I would love for you to share in the comments there what you're needing more of and what you're rebooting this year, and how we can help you get back on track.